So I saved enough evidence that, along with my story, I can put a lot of it together along with articles of evidence. This is stuff that I was not even close to being equipped for 2 years ago. Being harassed by people that I want to rescue from themselves is pretty disturbing. I didn't choose these people's course of actions. I didn't choose their decisions in life. I didn't choose for them to do drugs. I didn't choose for them to hide from it. Now, as far as Amanda Engeline and Lanny Engeline go, I have enough saved from the web groups to show that they screwed up by their own admission. I have enough from Shelley to show that she lied to me repeatedly by her own admission. I have enough from Danica to show that she lied to me, her own words. I have enough to show quite a bit. I have enough to show that the Boulder Police Department, along with police departments across the state of Colorado, took part in this. And that both Danica and Shelley took part in coercing, harassing, and intimidating myself and others, along with Jennifer Farina Bollinger and other characters in the Bollinger clan. This is a criminal element. This is a criminal group. However, the Boulder Police and police across the state of Colorado chose to work with this group to try to frame an innocent man. This is not acceptable. When I left Virginia, well, it sucked for me because I knew that Natalie was back on heroin. What sucked even worse was the rumors when I got back to Boulder. Now, these rumors didn't just get out of hand, they got way out of hand. For most of you guys, you're not understanding that going to see your friends and family is something that helps to keep you sane even when they drive you crazy. It also depends on family. My dad, for example, he's never been family. My mother, for example, she's never been family. My older brother, however, he was family for a while. Matter of fact, he's the reason I ended up in Boulder. There's a lot of people that took part in the harassment and the threats and the violence against me. Now, I'm going to be trying to finish my story best I can. It's going to take me a while because I don't have a place to type it. I went to a treatment center type place. I was only there for one night. They were going to make special reparations for me so that I could do things that aren't normally allowed in a place like that, such as use my computer so that I could type and take care of all the evidence and stuff. Well, the rules are there for a reason. It's because a small portion of people there, they abuse those rules, or they abuse those privileges, so they take them away from everyone. The problem is I need a place where I can sit down and do all that typing, go through all of that evidence. Meanwhile, a lot of people had expectations of me. They said, hey, I'll help you if you do this or you do that. Not paying mind that I've already done those things, already tried those things, or don't have the resources for those things. I needed a place where I could calm down, a place where I could recover from the abuse. I couldn't get one. I had to move from one abusive environment to another. The other thing is, these people aren't going to admit that they're abusive. You can't expect an alcoholic to admit she is an alcoholic. You can hope. It's kind of like Natalie. She could have come forward and been honest with her mother, but she was afraid of her mother's opinion, and I have proved that already. And a lot of people wanted to harass me, threaten me, and assault me over this, including the police. The state of Colorado, the police are entirely corrupt. They pick on homeless people because they can get away with it. The problem is it results in hundreds of deaths per year in the state of Colorado of homeless people who are just trying to get up and out. People who hit a rough spot ended up without a house and are victimized not just by public opinion, but by the fact that the police know they can get away with victimizing them due to public opinion. The term mentally ill should never be used by a professional in any standard. The fact is, if somebody's schizophrenic, they're schizophrenic, not mentally ill. If someone has OCD, they have OCD, they're not mentally ill. Mentally ill is too broad a term. Now, that place I was at, they were going to make special reparations for me, but they were unable to. They were going to talk about it today and have a special meeting and all sorts of stuff about what I can and can't do. But also, due to the nature of everything that I'm going through and the fact that the facility itself is for, well, there's a lot of people there who have been through domestic abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse. A lot of things that I'm going to be talking about, I can't. Not there, it's a trigger. It'll trigger people there and give them it'll take away from their sense of safety, which is important there. There's a lot of people who meant well, but they just couldn't stay sober. Natalie meant well, but she couldn't stay sober. Alicia meant well, but she couldn't stay sober. Shannon meant well, but she couldn't stay sober. Teresa meant well, but she couldn't stay sober. All of these people had folks that were in their corner. Teresa had Brandy, her daughter. Natalie had 10,000 suitors. Alicia had 20,000 suitors. Yeah, those numbers are probably a bit askew, but there's a lot of people who have known the Bollingers for years that let me know a lot of things that I already knew. For me, getting an honest day in court was the goal here. Due to people like Ken and Leah stealing from me and ganging up on me, well, that pretty well screwed my ability to even show up in court. And that's not to mention the people who said that they would help. Like Jeff Ritter. Jeff Ritter was going to help me get a lawyer. He works through the Colorado Coalition of the Homeless, but he doesn't return his calls. He was going to help me get a lawyer before Natalie disappeared. I had to do some very desperate things to protect myself and also to protect my loved ones. But there's a lot of those loved ones who didn't understand the situation. Candace Dale, for example. A lot of these people, they threw money at things that money didn't need to be thrown at. Or they threw money out there to be nice and then complained to me about not having the resources. Or they jumped the gun and threw money at things that needed to wait. A lot of the things that I said I can't prove anymore because of the loss of a telephone. But most of the things I can. I saved enough evidence. Now there's some things that I really should have taken advantage of while I had the opportunity. Like when Miss Jerry unblocked me and decided to be my friend again. I should have gone back and tried to become friends with Tyler and taken pictures from that racist Colin Kaepernick post that we stopped being friends over. Even though they were being racist, I still stuck up for them when Amy Valkyrie was on there. Amy Valkyrie was arguing with them as well, telling them that they were racist, same as me. They didn't see it that way. Miss Jerry even tried claiming that her having the family name that she did in Sidney, Nebraska was the same as being black. Not even close, Miss Jerry. I was raised in the system. Black people are not human beings to this society. They're human beings to me. But then again, so are people who are autistic. So are people who are ugly as sin. So are fat people. They're all human beings to me. We live in a society that likes to blame everybody who isn't perfect. For me, I got to look at a lot of folks who they stick around with people who just can't quit. They can't get off the drugs, and they just, no matter what, you know, they're still out there doing methamphetamines, like Andrew Witcher. And Amy Witcher, well, she still wants him to stick around. He hates her. He's told me on hundreds of occasions that he hates her, and I do mean literally hundreds. He hates his wife. So why did he marry her? Because he got her pregnant. And he can't stay off the meth. Meanwhile, I'm the bad guy. These people made promises that they didn't keep. I didn't tell these people to make promises. When Miss Danica reached out to me, she was of the opinion that I had killed Natalie. But I hadn't. When they caught the guy who did kill Natalie, well, she no longer cared. Meanwhile, I'd been threatened, harassed, intimidated, and assaulted by the police across the state of Colorado. Meanwhile, they jump across jurisdiction to do whatever the hell they want, including stealing evidence and filing false reports. A lot of people did that. The fact is, even my public pretenders broke the law. The judges broke the law. I have evidence of all of this. Now, there is some of that evidence that I have to requisition, but it's something that can be requisitioned from the courts, provided I can get a lawyer. A lot of people are mad at me for exposing everyone. Well, I exposed people who didn't keep their word. And people who decided that they wanted to play on public opinion. People like Betsy Prowell and David Prowell. Betsy was given the same handcuff treatment that I was by the Boulder Police Department. The difference is she had her dad in her corner. Now, because of public opinion of the other things that I was accused of and never allowed to step up in court and face charges to, well, a lot of people have sat on those rumors, and those rumors just sat and sat and sat, while people wanted to get on board and go, oh, well, I'm going to tell a story now, too. Meanwhile, all these people are lying, but it all comes out, and I don't get to defend myself against any of it. As far as destroying my Facebook, destroying evidence on Facebook, well, a lot of people took part in that as well. They thought it was hilarious. They thought it was funny. They thought it was entertaining. In Clearview, when I was assaulted by those staff members, they even laughed. They thought it was hilarious that I was still trying to make a police report after they had assaulted me. Well, of course I'm going to try to make a police report, especially since that's what I've been trying to do since before Natalie disappeared. But when they tag you with mentally ill, they can do whatever they want to you. Now, I've got to still try to get myself a mailbox so that I can have stuff sent to me. A lot of people made empty promises that they never intended on keeping, but then there's a lot of people who made empty promises they did intend on keeping. They just cared too much about public opinion. So for me, sticking up for pretty much everybody who isn't me, to have those people all come down on me, it's a pain in the butt. On the bright side, I ain't dead. I want to be, but I'm not. The state of Colorado, the way they victimize the homeless is unacceptable. The fact that so many people took part in threatening me and harassing me before Natalie Bollinger was murdered, and nobody would listen, is really messed up. I shouldn't have had to do the things that I did in order to defend myself against those predators. But I also have evidence that proves that they're predators. So does Rose Kelly. So does Danica Garner. So does Shelley. Now, when they found Joseph Michael Lopez, it was already too late for me, because even though they found Natalie's killer, my name had already been slandered and smeared all over the internet. People didn't want to understand about a panic attack. That's what all this comes down to. People want to pretend they understand panic attacks, and then they don't. And they don't try. They don't want to make the connection that part of the reason they don't have severe panic attacks is because they have family that helps them out. Family who's there and gives them a sense of security. Most of the homeless don't have this. That's not to say that there aren't homeless people who chose to be homeless, but a lot of us didn't. It takes 3 people working full-time jobs at minimum wage on average to keep a roof over your head in America. When you're talking about Boulder, Colorado, you're talking about 11 people working minimum wage in order to earn enough to keep a roof over their head. So for me, trying to expose all of this, while people want to be angry at me because I'm still freaking out having a panic attack, meanwhile they have the resources that I've needed all along. But that's the thing, they have the resources. So it doesn't occur to them that all of those resources that they have, plus they already have them, they don't have to try to earn them while all of their money is getting taken because they were falsely accused. All of their money is spent traveling from one place to another trying to find a safe environment. The fact is, I should have had a legal advocate. None of these people should have been allowed to do the things that they did to me. There should have been a legal buffer for me between myself and all of these predators before Natalie was killed. Meanwhile, people keep telling me to do things that I don't have the resources for, and I'm not allowed to get angry. I'm not allowed to get overwhelmed. Meanwhile, they get overwhelmed over simple shit. They get angry at me, and I'm not allowed to get angry back. And then, somehow, I'm a terrible person for exposing them. Well, if you want to affect change, you have to expose everyone. That's what I've come to learn. These people had great intentions, some of them. That Kara Miles lady, she lied outright, and all that stuff gets to sit in my court paperwork. But that's a good thing. The reason for that is because it goes to show that they lied on court documents. They committed felonies, all of these people, and they all think they're going to get away with it. They might. They might push me to suicide, but I'm fighting hard. A lot of these people, I'd like for them to come forward and be honest. I'd like for Shannon to admit that she's an abusive alcoholic, but she's not physically abusive. Now for her, a lot of you guys, when I say that something is going on, you say stop making excuses. For her, she says, well, my daughter is stressful. You got to understand that. So do I tell her that she's making excuses? No, I don't. Her daughter is stressful. That's the truth of the matter. Her daughter is stressful. Her daughter is physically abusive to Shannon and everybody else in the house. But Shannon loves her daughter. She wants to keep her daughter. She doesn't want her daughter going into the system. And that's understandable, especially to someone like me. The real issue here is that back when it would have made a difference, people were just pretty words. A lot of people, like this Brooke Freeman lady, she wants to play victim. She's not a victim. She doesn't have cancer. She's pretending. She's pretending because I was just entertainment to her. She found me through a sleuth group and decided that that's what she was going to be. She was going to be a pretender. She was one of those people who was pretending to be my friend. And a lot of people, the more stuff that built up, the more I screamed out loud, and also the less things connected as far as my words go. Something that I explained to the police all the way back when Natalie first disappeared. Trying to find an officer who would take my report was damn near impossible. But I also knew the problems that I was going to face and encounter as far as that goes. That's why I kept trying to get someone to go in with me in person. Nobody had time. Everybody was too busy. Their family's this and their family's that. Meanwhile, that's the point. They have families. Most of these people that I helped out because they had families. I stick up for these people and their kids because they can't. They have to be afraid of losing their kids. Somebody has to stick up for those kids, though. Somebody has to stick up for those families, even when they run away like cowards. Now, for me, I had to leave the state of Colorado as a strategic standpoint. I had to try to find a safe place to sit down and go through all of this information. On the bright side, I finally got my computer back from Lana and Amanda after close to a year. They did some really mean things. And all these people knew that communicating with me one-on-one was the best way to do it. But they chose not to. Amanda chose to overwhelm me. When I was arguing with her mother about the shit that her mother pulled, Amanda started texting me as well. So now I'm arguing with both of them in texting because neither of them will talk to me. And they knew exactly what they were doing. All of these people knew that texting me mean shit like that was gonna send me into a panic attack. It's because I told them. Kind of like, you know how your family knows how to press your buttons? My family does the same thing. They know how to press my buttons, and they choose to press my buttons. They know what to do to send me into a panic attack. And then they send me into a panic attack and go, look, see, he's a bad person. No, I'm not. When you intentionally victimize somebody, you poke them with a stick and poke them with a stick, back them into a corner, and then you want to complain when they defend themselves. Well, that just makes you a coward. They pulled that routine on me repeatedly. Here in the state of Wyoming, however, they've tried to make reparations for it. They've tried to make accommodations for it. It's difficult, though, because many of these places that I've been, they do feel bad for me. I got to show those people at the 4 places that I went in the last 4 days. I showed them what was going on between me and Natalie. Just a small portion. And they tried to make some changes to everything in their environments. Unfortunately, with the other people that are there, it makes it something that, well, first of all, I'm not comfortable with. A lot of those women that were there, I don't want them being stuck with somebody who's been pegged the way that I was. It's kind of like a lot of my friends in Chapel, a lot of my friends in Colorado, and even some of my friends here in Wyoming. They can't take me in because although they know better, their spouses don't. Or they have ex-wives, ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends, ex-husbands that they're fighting some important legal battles with over their children. And for somebody who is painted the way I am, well, they have to worry about that being used against them in court. No matter how good I was to them, no matter how much they want to help, they have to worry about public opinion. You shouldn't care what other people think. With all due respect, wars are fought over what other people think. People are shot in the head over what other people think. People are beaten up over what other people think. People freeze to death without a blanket over what other people think.